Yo, what's up, guys? MMA Analyst here to do another video. Back already, right? You know what I'm saying? Alright. Anyways, this video is about what I'm going to call the worst fans on the planet for anything. And that's MMA fans, UFC fans to be more specific, casual UFC fans to be the most specific. Unfortunately, casual UFC fans is like 80%, 90% of the fan base. Hardcore fans, people that watch dummies like me on YouTube, and people who follow MMA in between the events, that's a very small percentage. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But let me explain to you why, for a lot of people, why MMA fans are worst. And hardcore fans aren't even removed from this. You know what I mean? Ask yourself if this has ever happened to one of you guys or the girl that's watching. And if it's happened to you, it applies to you. First things first, we're going to talk about Anderson Silva. 7 years undefeated almost. 18 straight wins. I think 17 in the UFC. He finished 14 of those. He finished by the first ever, just front kick to the face. He's finished with knees, elbows, punches. The greatest comeback submission of all time in mixed martial arts. He's had a run like only one other, or that can be compared to only one other, and that's Fedor. And it's funny because Fedor had a huge fan base, but these guys, it didn't matter that he wasn't in the UFC, but everybody who was a UFC fan, Dana White told them, yo, Fedor's not that guy, even though he offered Fedor more money than any fighter's ever been offered in MMA history. Dana White told everybody. There was actually a smear campaign against Fedor. So when he finally lost and everybody was like, hey, great, he lost, it made sense because there's a whole lot of people that, Uncle Dana was telling this guy was terrible, he's never that good, and as soon as he lost, they were all like, see, I told you, Dana told you, Fedor's never that good. 10 years of winning doesn't mean anything, He beat 5 UFC champions, but that don't mean anything because it wasn't in the octagon, in the UFC. It didn't count, right? All that gay stuff, right? So anyways, I understand that because people get brainwashed into thinking something because of some, a very big force called Zuffa that is just one hell of a hype machine. Okay. I forgive you guys for that. But what about Anderson? Anderson Silva, for the last 5 years, 5 of the 7, Dana White has been doing nothing but building this man up. For the last 2 or 3 years, nothing but crazy hype from Dana White. Dang, I'm doing multis in my sentences. Crazy hype from Dana White. I know Dana's not really there. Anyways, crazy hype. Anderson Silva's the #1 pound for pound. Anderson Silva's not human. Anderson Silva's amazing. Anderson Silva's amazing. Anderson Silva's amazing. Meanwhile, you're actually watching Anderson Silva do amazing things. Like I said, the Vitor Belfort knockout. What he did to former light heavyweight champion Forrest Griffin. How easily he dispatched of various bums like Stephan Bonnar. Obviously, the win off of his back against Chael Sonnen in the 5th round of a championship match. His win over Dan Henderson, UFC MMA great, Hall of Famer, 2-time Pride champion. Okay, so we've seen, y'all were watching this man do this stuff. Even if you weren't around, let's say, for Chris Lieben and Rich Franklin's broken nose and then Chris Franklin's broken nose again, even if you weren't there for that and you showed up after that, all you got was hype, hype, hype. It's been a long time since Anderson danced around Thales Leites and Damian Maia. A long time. Alright? So, it's kind of crazy, right? Because all you guys have been fed is how amazing Anderson Silva is. Now, let's go back a few days. Friday afternoon, Friday night, the weigh-ins. Not Marlo and Sean. The weigh-ins, okay? Anderson Silva walks into the ring, into the place for the... Oh my God, it's Anderson Silva, we love you. Oh my God, Anderson, please just reach out and touch me. Okay. Chris Weidman walks in. That's the same city as the night of the fight, so it's not like it's a whole new people. So, all right, so Chris Weidman walks in. Boo! Well, of course you're gonna boo the man. He is nobody. You don't care about him. Okay, I understand. All right, so you're booing the nobody and you're praising the greatest gladiator of our time. Definitely the greatest gladiator in UFC history. All right, if you want to argue the Fedor thing. Now, just before I go forward, I will say there's a possibility that the people from the night before in the somewhat free weigh-ins could definitely be different than the thousands of people that were at the actual event who had to pay big money. Maybe they're not the same people. I don't know. But it's the same city. They come from the same fan base. So anyways, that's the night before. Chris Weidman booed. Anderson Silva cheered and praised. Anderson Silva goes out on Saturday, does his normal thing, goes out there, gets taken down, gets back up. By the way, Chris Weidman was tired. I didn't say he was fully gassed, but he was tired. You want to know how I know he was tired? Smart people out there? Because Anderson Silva didn't suddenly learn superhuman or superior to previous Anderson takedown defense. And Chris Weidman didn't all of a sudden forget how to take Anderson down. But after he took him down the first time, quite easily, then he tried to take him down again. And he couldn't. 3 times. Anderson did a little double underhook and pushed and moved aside. Do you think that's because Chris Weidman got worse at wrestling? Do you think that's because Anderson Silva learned how to stuff a Chris Weidman takedown? Or is it that Chris Weidman maybe got tired? Okay, now we're going to go back because I got to talk, I don't like being disrespectful, but I got to talk slow to people who are slow. When you don't see things, I got to be clear. Back to the fight. Anderson Silva dancing, doing what he does. Now, maybe at this point, the people out there were like, oh, Anderson, don't do that. I hate when you dance. Maybe that's what happened. But the minute he got knocked out, they cheered. Oh, my God, Anderson Silva. Yes, he's knocked out. Oh, I hated him so much. I hated Anderson. Oh, please, thank you, Jesus. You can take me now. Right? Then, after the fight, even if, okay, fine, he got knocked out, sure. It's a cheering occasion. Woo! Cheer. It's an amazing sight to see. Okay, I'll give you that for a moment. But then after the fight, when Joe Rogan starts to talk to Anderson, what do? Boo. Now this boy just woke up. He woke up from temporary mind. Boom, he's gone. Came back. Now what happened? They are booing this man after 7 years of being undefeated. After years and years of Dana White telling them that this man is the greatest of all time, after seeing that this is the greatest fighter in UFC history for how as long as they've been watching MMA, doesn't matter how long, if they've been only watching for 3 years, if they've been watching for 5 years, if they've been watching for 7 years, they've seen it. There's nothing that you can say. After all that, what are they doing? They're booing. Go online. What are they doing? They're cheering that Anderson lost. Now, this is because fighters don't have fans. Yes, I know. Fighters do have fans. Anderson Silva has tons of fans. I'm a big Anderson Silva fan. But the amount of fans that there actually are, and then the amount of people who are just watching to see somebody, anybody, get knocked out, the difference is so drastic. That's why when Anderson Silva talks on the mic and all he wants to say is, hey, yo, thanks, man, I did my thing, and he won, and he is the best. Thank you to Dana. Thank you to the American fans. All of the Americans could do, oh, boo, boo. They couldn't even cheer when he was saying thank you. I had a great little run here. I did 17 fights in a row, 10 defenses. I just want to thank Dana White for making it possible. Boo. That's because they're not fans. That's because UFC fans are the worst fans on earth. Okay, that's why when you talk to somebody and they say, yo, man, I like Anderson Silva, but I just kind of want to see him get knocked out. I heard this from people. I'm like, you're not a fan? You don't say, I love Kobe, but I need him to lose this year to learn a lesson? No, that's not what fans do. I heard people tell me that they wanted Anderson Silva to lose to Chael Sonnen, but they're a big fan of Anderson. That's not possible. That's Anderson versus Chael Sonnen. That's Superman versus Lex Luthor. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're the arch rivals. How can you want the arch rival of your supposed, guy that you like to lose? How could you want him to beat him? And call yourself a fan. You're not a fan. You're not a fan of Anderson. You're not a fan of the sport. And I'm not saying you have to be a fan of Anderson to be a fan of the sport, but you're not a fan of Anderson, and you're probably not a fan of many other fans either, of many other fighters either. That's why a fighter can go out there and have 30 seconds of mediocre, entertainment, and the whole place start booing. Why is that? Because they're not actually fans. They're not actually fans of the fighter. Because if a real fan will be like, oh, I know what he's doing. This is his game plan. He's working on a game plan. I'm going to wait. Okay. Okay. Well, that was close. He's taking a little slow right here because, he's game planning. He doesn't want to do anything too crazy. Okay. Yeah. That round was kind of soft. I'm not going to lie. That round was kind of soft. But I know what he's doing, though. He's got to have a plan. He's got to have a plan. Second round. He really hasn't done much. I'm not really feeling this at all. But I'm going to root for my man, though, because I'm a fan. Third round. Damn. He's going to lose this fight. Son of a biatch. Shoot. Loses the fight. Damn. But I got you, though. I know you're going to come back. You're going to bounce back. That's what real fans do. That's what fans do in other leagues, in other sports. Oh, he had a bad game. Don't worry, he'll be back next time. Oh, my team had a bad year. He'll be back next year. My team had a bad decade. Oh, they'll be back. Every single year there's a draft. Ooh, they're going to pick somebody up. They have hope. Okay, they go, oh, man, my team sucked for 15 straight years. We haven't even made the playoffs. But, all we need to do is pick up that quarterback, and it can be different. It can be different. Man, some people have been fans of the Toronto Maple Leafs their whole lives and never seen them even near a Stanley Cup. But every single year, these guys running out buying jerseys for the Maple Leafs. And that's another thing. Let's get to the next thing. How many people do you see walking around with Anderson Silva shirts? Sure, you'll see some. Shogun walkout tees? Sure. Vanderlei walkout tees? Of course they exist. And of course you see them. But how many in comparison to just a UFC hat? A UFC hoodie? How many people do you see walking around in a UFC hoodie? Now remember, UFC is the organization. It's not the sport. It's not a team. It's not a fighter. It's just the UFC shirt. So ask yourself the same question. How many people do you see go into a place and say, listen, what up? Can I get the NFL hoodie? And for the off season, I want the Major League Baseball hoodie. No, of course not. Nobody walks around with an NFL hoodie or an NBA jacket. These guys have teams. They have players and teams. They say, I want the Lakers throwback jersey. And you know what? Because my dad was a fan, I want Kareem on that. Can I get the Kareem throwback? Or did he play for the Lakers? I'm not really down with basketball as much as I should be. Anyways, I want the Kobe. I want the LeBron James throwback. No, I'm going to burn that one. I'm going to burn the jersey. I'm burning the jersey for the Cleveland. I want the LeBron James on the back for the Heat. That's what I want. That's what they do. If not that, they at least say, give me the Boston Celtics jersey. I want the home jersey. Yep, it better be real. Yep, there's the tag. Okay, we good. Here's $120 for my team, for my player, for my team, for my player. People won't walk around with a NHL jersey on, just NHL, nothing else, not even a team, nothing. That's because in other sports, they're fans of the actual team. They're fans of the actual player. Now, I understand why this has happened. It's because the UFC has made it so that the UFC is the show. No fighter is bigger than the UFC. No fighter is more popular than the UFC. And that's because the UFC set it up that way after years and years of marketing so that they could control everything. And that's great for the UFC. But as a result, you've got the worst fans in sports history. That's why Dana White can tell you somebody sucks that you saw not suck. And you'll say he sucks. That's why Dan Henderson can have the knockout of the year. Boom. Oh, shoot. Crap. 4 days later, Michael Bisping wakes up. What happened? Okay. What happens after that, though? Dan Henderson goes, I just had the greatest knockout of the year. I'm killing it. I'm only getting better, So I would like a little bit of a raise. Dana says, no. Nope, you're not getting it. All right, well, I guess I'm just not going to sign with the UFC. Okay, see ya. We don't need you. And they don't. They don't need them. They actually don't. They don't need really anybody. Because if they leave the UFC, first things first, all of these fans won't even notice. They'll just be like, you know what? They won't even say, I haven't seen so-and-so fight in a while. Because they're not paying attention. They'll just be like, who's fighting tonight? Oh, cool. Who's fighting tonight? Oh, cool. Who's fighting tonight? 6 months later, Dan Henderson hasn't fought in the UFC. Nobody said, where's Dan Henderson? What happened to Dan? I remember when he knocked out that dude. No. They just take it out. They don't show any highlights of Dan. And people just forget. Oh, then he comes back. Oh, Dan Henderson's fighting tonight. You know he fought somewhere else for a year. Oh, he did? Oh, he beat Fedor. Oh, yeah. Well, that guy sucks anyways. Anyways, that's what I'm talking about. These guys are bums. I'm talking about you. You. If any of this applies, I'm talking to you. You suck. You're terrible. What else? Alright, so, yeah. Okay, so when I go and tell somebody a fact about how fighters are getting screwed, what do you guys do? Not all of you, but most of you. Nah. If they sign the contract and they're a grown man. Man, shut up. No, man. You know what I mean? Like, in the 20s, people didn't stay home from work because they had bad work conditions. You gotta work. Dummy. Alright? In the 50s, when the players were getting paid garbage in every sport, they didn't stop playing. They just had to keep playing through it until they joined together and made a union, until they joined together and got some law on their side, until they got employee rights. That's why we got you think got a minimum wage right now and an 8 or 9 hour a day and employee rights because employers decided that they were going to be nice? No, it's because people fought for it. And the UFC fighters, the MMA fighters haven't fought for it yet. So until they do, they're just going to get raped like everybody else did in the history of mankind. That's why in Mexico and in, third world countries, you can have slave labor because they don't have rights. I'm not saying the UFC fighters are slave labor, but the amount of money that's being made and the amount of money they're getting paid is way different. And that's a whole different video that I'm not going to get into right now. But I want to hear from any of you people sitting back, oh no, they're getting paid good money. Shut up. No, they're not. Alright, shut up. Now, what else? Dana White can tell you that a fighter that you like is a bum because he's fighting against Dana. Randy Couture, man, I think that, the fighters aren't getting paid as good as Tito. I'm not really sure, but I don't like we're not getting paid as much as we should. Now, these are the guys that were trying to do the right thing at a time, and these were the bigger names. You got to understand, this is how it works. The bigger names say stuff, and then other big names maybe follow, and then the smaller names are just like, oh, yeah, we'll do what they do. But no, because they're so afraid of stuff, they'll just, no, shh, I don't want to lose my job. I want to, and I understand that. But as a result, you got different slander campaigns against Tito, against Randy Jackson, Randy Couture, he can't coach his son in Strikeforce in the corner. Get out of here, man. These guys are crazy, man. What else? You know what I mean? Like Dana can literally tell you what to think about a fighter or even to think about a fighter. They can't do that with Pacquiao. You can't tell Pacquiao fans that they're not Pacquiao fans anymore. Pacquiao got knocked out, slammed, he was face flat on the ground, sniffing under the canvas. And Pacquiao fans, you know what they were doing? Booking a flight, helping him up. We want to carry him all the way back to Manila. That's what they were doing. Come on, Pacquiao, we got you. You're still our dude. Because that's what happens when you have real fans and a real fan base. Pacquiao's fan base didn't disappear when he got knocked out. There's still Pacquiao's fan base. Get out of here, MMA fans. Y'all are whack. 99% of you. If it doesn't apply to you, don't get upset. If you're upset, it's because it applies to you. See what I'm saying? If I say, if you go outside at nighttime in cross-dressing clothes and heels and you're gay and you get mad, then you must be out at nighttime in cross-dressing. Alright? So if I'm saying that you're not a real fan, not because you don't like Anderson or not because whatever. But because of what I'm talking about, because of the fact that, Dana can tell you what you like or don't like. You fall for the hype machine. You don't care about fighter pay. You don't care about fighters' well-being. You boo after 30 seconds of being upset. You look at somebody like Anderson Silva after all the years of everything he's done, and you get happy when he loses, and then you not just happy, because you can be happy when somebody loses and still be a fan of the sport, but then try and say what he did prior to that wasn't what it was, which was amazing. You see what I'm saying? Like, I never liked Chuck Liddell. Ever, ever, ever. But I can recognize that he did his thing. I never like, it took me like a long time until the what was that? The front headlock one with Matt Hughes. I never liked Matt Hughes, but he was old, late in his career, putting a man to sleep. I said, damn, Hughes, I still don't like you, but I respect you, man. You did your thing. But these clowns out here, thousands and thousands of sheep, just horrible, horrible, useless. Oh, sorry, you're useful for the purpose of giving billions of dollars to Zuffa and a couple thousand to the fighters. Do your thing. But just know that the casual fans and the fact that Zuffa has such a stronghold is why eventually this sport will disappear. Because the minute Zuffa stops existing, guess what happens, folks? The fans stop existing. Because they're not a fan of the fighters, they're a fan of the organization. I stand by it. If Zuffa organization people, Fertitas, Dana, and I guess that guy from Abu Dhabi who owns 10%, if they all crash in a plane tomorrow and Zuffa stopped existing and there was no more UFC and somebody else tried to pick up the fighters and put them somewhere else, 1/8 of the current fan base would follow them. Everybody else wouldn't even know what happened unless they saw it in the news. Yo, UFC president and also the majority shareholders of Zuffa have died in a plane crash. They'd be like, oh shoot, that's crazy. Well, I guess there's no more UFC. That's it. Pack it up. Anyways, I've had my nice little rant. This actually doesn't even have a lot to do with Anderson losing. It has to do with the fact that Anderson losing just showed just how crazy it is. Even with Anderson Silva hype, even with the hype machine, Zuffa just pounding it home. Anderson, 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 7 years, 7 years, 7 years. He still gets the same treatment as Fedor when Fedor lost after a 10-year run. Get out of here, you clowns. Every last one of you clowns. The ones that it applies to. I'm only doing this video for one reason. And the last video, and the video before that, and the 180 before that, is because MMA, it's important. Peace.